Well, hello, it's Lee. For today I wanted to make a video on, as the title is going to talk about, or it suggests, on not being afraid of the world and what's going on right now. Obviously, people that are not distracted by the world too much are those who are trying to understand in a bigger picture what's going on. Now, no matter what century or millennia we are in, we are certainly understanding that we are in a conditioned planet, in a place where we are under certain laws and we are in a mortal body, etc., so on and so forth. Now, that itself should be surprising, and yet a lot of people seem to ignore that very fact up until the current time, rather. Now, this earth, everything that is set up for a specific purposeful reason, as it is anywhere else. It's not just a random accident, it's not just a cruel game among gods or ideas of things. Everything is precise enough, and then giving the allowance for creativity and freedom for souls to exercise their free will and to learn how to interact with materials and things and how to manifest ideas, etc. But within certain laws and conditions. When we are finding ourselves looking deep within and discovering ourselves indeed as part of a great being, and not indeed just entrapped and enmeshed to thing only, then we start to embark upon our memory of our reality and our true identity. Now, a lot of people know that already, but it's something that we can remind ourselves as often as we will, that while we are here and subject to certain things for a period of time, ultimately we are aloof from everything and are absolutely safe. Nonetheless, while here and while focusing on all these things and these dramas and these trials and tribulations and joys too, life experience, learning in general, learning for the soul in general, well, that's why we're here. We are children of the universe ever and forever, experiencing a multitude of things. Essentially, and I have to keep quoting it, but essentially it is the being interacting with various modes of things and experiencing a multitude of ways of being, from the happy to the sad to the angry and all that. Now, no one can really deny that that's what we are and why we are here. Nonetheless, people will try. Now, the world seems heavy. There's a huge war right now, as it always was, for the allegiance, where the soul wants to put its attention to, its focus of mind and its focus of heart, attachments and detachments and all these things. Ultimately, we are growing and evolving as soul entities, and more enlightenment is achieved. It's not just a matter of, bing, I'm enlightened. There is always a higher and higher stage to go until we are absolutely in a godlike status. But this takes a lot of time, obviously. While we are here, there is a war basically going on. You can say good and evil, you can say many things, but essentially it is about who is ready to graduate and leave this type of planetary school system and who is not, who is staying here, who is focusing on it. In the Hindu schools, they described it very well. The souls who came here wanted to interact and be the masters and the lords of material nature. This is also the idea in the Bible, in the Garden of Eden story, which is much more complicated than just two people and a snake, and a God that said, don't do that, right? But it is a matter of falling down from a higher nature to experience things. But if you will experience things, you'll have to undergo the conditioning thereof. This is the Garden of Eden story, essentially. When we have a deep esoteric mystical understanding of all these religions and truths, we see that the story is one, and it is common, and it is the reality. Someone worded that very well the other day on a comment that I had read on a YouTube video, some music video, I don't remember what it was. The person, I'm not sure. The person simply said, reality is the understanding of what is. Reality is. But then we all have our different ideas of how we perceive this reality. Now, yes, there are many realities and layers, but there is always the one all-permeating reality, which is the being, the core of being is the highest thing of all, and it is that which is experiencing all these things. So that said, and we can meditate upon that. That said, when we are focusing on the little details and the little particulars, this is why we're getting stressed and confused. The Earth is indeed leading, and it is like a pyramid. People don't like that. Oh, the evil Illuminati. Well, we'll get to that in a minute. But it is like a pyramid in the sense of going up steps and getting to a higher point. The Earth is, whether we like it or not, coming to a climactic moment. It certainly is. People who are looking and understanding the signs and feeling it within are feeling something's going on. Yes, because it is. And it was always building up to this. This isn't just a new thing or a new age thing as an accident. It is something that was foretold and an undeniable outcome anyway. This planet, what it is going through, has been going many places, many worlds, in the past, in the future, and in ever nowness. And this is exactly a truth. So this type of school system that we are in on this planet, in these incarnate bodies, this heavy, cumbersome flesh, at times it does seem that, well, who is ready to get out and who is too focused and wants to stay? Because they're too obsessed with needing to go through more lessons or being the lords of material nature, etc. So it's not even to hate anybody, not even to say, oh, you're an enemy and this and that. No. Every single soul spark entity comes from something higher, and there is a sense of oneness. And it is fair to say the potentials that are in one person are available in anyone else. Potentially available. Any one of us could be a saint. Any one of us can be the worst sinner, to use those words. And in our past lives and such, and in our future lives that we have been through, this is exactly it. But to wean off our lower natures and to embrace higher reality, this gives us the graduation. In the Christian schools, it was called the resurrection. The Catholics and others later added resurrection of the body. No. This flesh is not rising. This flesh is a particular condition for this little planet. But it is not the be-all and end-all of all things, right? People talk about 4D and 5D reality. We already are in 4D and 5D reality in 6th and 7th and beyond. But this flesh isn't. The being already is. Anything, everywhere, all the time. But we, by focusing on the things, don't see this. So that is something that we can talk about. Now, there has been basically two components fighting for those who want to get out and those who want to stay and enjoy and be the masters of material nature, etc., etc. So two opposing forces, both absolutely necessary, because the souls who are not ready to go on to higher things should not be forced to do it, because it has to be by choice. And those who want to get out of here should not be forced to stay if they don't want to. Some people choose to come back even if they have already graduated this planet to help others. And a lot of people are exactly this. That doesn't matter. It's not about patting on the back. The fact is, both the components were necessary. Now, in the deeper esoteric teachings, you basically have the war between the sons of Cain and the sons of Seth. And this has to do with those who would want to believe in what they didn't see and attain a hope, and those who wanted to come to know things factually and by science. But science covers also spirituality too. But even within those two, you have the extremes of both, because both of those sides have done evils and both of those sides have done good things. So this is a tug of war, and it is absolutely necessary, and everything going on here, even the worst of the worst, is absolutely somehow necessary for the particular entities that are involved in it. Every single person that comes to this planet chose it beforehand. We travel in massive groups of soul entities and say, let's learn at that place. And then we fall from a higher nature and undergo a massive soul evolution of learning. When we graduate a planet like this, some people are not ready to leave, but for the great 50% or more of us who are ready to leave, then we go, that was a trip. And indeed, how would you ever be the same after graduating a place like this? This isn't a place that is easy. In fact, I like what Dolores Cannon said, and if anyone is interested, please check her out. She's a wonderful, fascinating woman, Dolores Cannon. And the fact is, anyone who comes to this type of school planet is very admired for bravery. This is a harsh, harsh school, but When we leave it and graduate, we have endowed ourselves with an amazing lesson and essentially a great calm in the heart and a great wisdom in the mind through and via the understanding which only comes through experience. A person that does not have the heart stretched and the mind stretched very big is not a person that possesses great understanding, because they haven't had enough experience. And the only way to stretch this and this is by undergoing a multitude of experiences, the good, the bad, and the ugly, the black, the white, and the gray, the whole rainbow spectrum, however we want to call it. You have been here before, you have lived many lifetimes, even if you're someone that thinks, oh no, one life, no. When we think that, it's because we're identifying with a particular body. It's not nothing to do. The soul entity has seen everything, can be anything, will continue to be many things. Let's be happy about this. It's not about compartmentalization in a small box, then you say, I am that thing. We shake off the identity, then we see the grid, then we see even the grid is nothing. Because the highest self recognizes itself absolutely aloof from all things and absolutely safe. It doesn't mean that there are not laws of karma and that there are not lessons and conditions that are there purposefully for the soul to have the means in which to learn. All this is necessary. It is good. When we attain a higher level of understanding through the heart and the mind, and the being having gone through a lot of things, then we can understand why things are the way they are. There's a lot of fear-mongering going on. People that are in the beginning stages of New Age level or enlightenment or whatever we want to call it, following certain people and whatever, conspiracy theorists and this and that. I'm not picking on anyone, but this is only the beginning level. To say, oh, those guys are the bad guys. Any one of us is the bad guy. Any one of us has been the bad guy, the bad woman. Any one of us can be the pristine, clean saint also. What we're trying to do is have a balancing of mind and heart so we don't react negatively. The person that is close to the enlightenment is not going to be someone that acts aggressive towards anybody. Or that would be a last resort, would it not? What we're trying to do is have a great understanding. You have basically a war between church and state. And it's not just about church to pick on the Christians or this and that. It's any type of formalized religion, right, that says this, this, and this, and this. And then you have state, which says, oh, this, 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 and this. So you have the Freemasons, for example, who are trying to be free from church dogmatic controls. And the church are trying to stay clear from, oh, well, why would you rebel against the holy, right? But both, when in a mode of ignorance still remaining, are just that, in a mode of ignorance. If this earth would be at the stage of marrying, just to use these terms, and please allow me, of marrying church and state perfectly, and having truly capable persons, and anyone being able to do it, and rotating the so-called leadership thereof, it would be like a Knights of the Round Table sort of ideal. Everybody would be successors for the betterment of all involved and all concerned. Now, on this earth we see the extremes of many things. On other planets and in higher dimensions and places, as good as we can imagine a heaven being, so it is. The heart intuitively knows this. The mind searches for this. To quote Thomas Aquinas, a great Catholic philosopher, who's saying, you could not hope for something that was not there or was not potentially possible and potentially available. If we meditate on that, you find out that it is true. So as good as we can want a place, so can we get it. All the people here, right, we say we make our own, life's what you make it, you make your own reality. Well, yeah, and we're bouncing off each other and dealing with the all-permeating reality of the earth itself and the laws of gravity. But even those can be broken, right, in certain conditions or certain states. So we are wrestling with conditions within conditions, but we find that when we are becoming enlightened, then having the maturity and the growth process of soul, then these laws start to cease to be anything important. Those who are trying to overcome these laws with a purely physical means and neglecting the being are not going to leave a physical existence, because it is through the physical existence that they're trying to find it. So as long as you are focusing on it, that will be your means, your endeavor. And those who are looking for something else. But the point is, if we can put within us the science and the religion, just to use quotations on them, whatever we want to call them, then we are building the Tower of Light. So it is not to fear, because even within here, how should I put it? What is the old saying? The only thing to fear is fear itself. Well, the only thing to fear is your own self. The only one that I should fear is my own self, and the fact of, could I goof myself up? Could I entrap myself with silliness? Okay? Because if we even stand up to a tyrant, then the worst they're going to do, right, is kill a body or something like that. And yeah, what else is after that? Nothing that they can do, right? So it's to have that understanding that no matter how bad things are, it is a temporary state. When we do meditate upon our eternal nature, we see we are absolutely safe. Even when the world seems harsh and the years and the decades seem long, well, guess what? Time is seeming to get shorter and shorter, isn't it? Isn't that unique that in this time the time is seeming to shrink? So we are accelerating into our newer reality. The earth is seeming to be divided. Right? The weeds have been growing with the wheat, and it is ready for a harvest, to use these words. But those people who want to get out are indeed going to, and no one is going to hold them back. And there are very powerful beings, entities, agents, properties, powers that make sure that's a natural process. And then there is that which wants to stay in a material manipulation modality and try and discover self through those means. And people can do that, right? This earth is showing in a conditioned way certain length, breadth, depth, etc., circumference, parameter, right? That here is an idea of what is out there in a bigger sense. And if such as a person is focusing, so they will find something. The fear that we have is promoted by persons who have the focus on the fear itself. When we put the focus away from that and on something bigger, then we don't hear it. We feel safe and secure. We build our awareness, we build our mysticism, we build our understanding, heart and mind. When these two become one, then we start to really understand what is meant by completion or holiness, wholeness. Before that, we're still in some mode of fighting and ignorance, but it gets built upon, it gets better and better as we go. The less we listen to various forms of abuse and fear and these control mechanisms and all this stuff, then we start to understand the only one that you can really master is yourself. The only one that I can master is myself. And we can either help each other up or put each other down. White magic, black magic. But those who seek to rise already are doing so and will. And those who want to stay will continue to. And there can be worse karmas and worse places than this place. There are planets and systems, not even necessarily physical, that take a whacked out evil soul, wipe out their memory, have them start from scratch, is a fact. So the worst that can happen is someone getting thrown into a place, shaken up, and behold, started over. Not eternal fire and death and torment forever and ever and ever and ever. God, the God of gods is not a cruel torture monster or master of that. No, that's not how it is. That's a defense mechanism set up by certain frameworks within churches and philosophies, theologies, supposed dogmas to get people to be afraid to do evil, and that's okay in a basic sense. But there are bigger realities. Even the Quran of the Muslims is more merciful in certain cases, because I remember a certain quote that it had said, and Allah will put them into hell forever, or for as long as He sees fit. He, she, doesn't matter. The point being, when we get deeper into the esoterics and deeper into the soul, then you say, now I see why it's like that. Now I don't feel so afraid anymore. We can focus on someone saying, oh look, it's terrible. Look what they're doing. It's those guys. Oh my God, oh my God. But study those guys and go deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper. And study yourself and go deeper and deeper and deeper. Then you'll have that eureka moment. Now I see why it's like that and why it has to be like that. How much do I want to put myself subject under it or not? Okay? Don't be afraid. The worst person you can fear is yourself. Accept yourself as a beautiful, immortal, eternal being. Behold, you already are. And then see, from that perspective, from that suspension, okay. And now say, now while I'm going to be that guy or gal for some decades, what am I going to do with my time now? Rather than being controlled and a subject of fear and this and that, say to yourself, how am I, now that I have a better understanding, how am I going to do it? And it's not for us to be lazy. It's easier for us to watch a few videos and go, oh, I figured it out. No. If you're a young person, you watch 2 videos and you think you figured it out, that's not enough. A lot. You want books, videos, a lot of things, but study yourself. You can learn anything. You can learn everything about anybody and everybody by studying yourself, and vice versa. We are all mirrors for each other. Someone mirrors the good in us, someone mirrors the bad in us, and all in between. We have to choose our peace. And when we do, we say, yes, it is there, and yes, it is valid, and it is real. That's my message for the moment. Find peace within yourself. And only when that is had, then the world's noise and violence and craziness seems a little more, not an illusion, but a little less, has a little less vivacity. So it starts to be a little bit two-dimensional. Even when it is harsh and brutal, from the seat of the soul, as it is a temporary nature, is less a reality in that sense because it is a temporary nature. Remember that, and I'll try to remind myself to remember that. I wish you the best, sincerely I do, no matter who you are watching it. And I wish you to take risks, and I wish you have to have your karma too. I say to God, well, give me my karma that I deserve. And behold, when we are not in a denial, then we'll become really free to rise like the phoenix. None of us are perfect. I met some people that thought they were. Oh, the idea of it is a limited thing. The real perfection is a very grand thing, and it's very hard to find and keep. Push. But let's try. And it doesn't take one life is not possible to attain it. One earth school is not enough to have that. It's a huge process. Go look at Edgar Cayce and Dolores Cannon and saints and mystics all over the world from past up until now, and you'll see the same things are being said, and there's a great comfort. Once you have the true esoteric knowledge, there is a great comfort to it. It is not anti-God, because it doesn't suit your religion or my religion that we inherited from birth or something like that. We see the oneness of all things, and then we say, light and love are one, not divided. Light and love are one. Peace be with you. Have a beautiful moment.